guys wanting to approach women, but then, like, of course, fearing the rejection and so on. But often what they're really fearing is being seen, and what if it goes well, and then stepping into this unknown of being accepted. To have great relationships or great sex, you're actually going to have to psychologically embrace the possibility of that through pleasure. All right, gentlemen, so hello, it's me again, James Marshall, as you know, and today I'd like to introduce our very special guest, Aaron Michael. Hey, man.
James, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, now, you're not living out of your car. Let's just get that,
No,
let's just get that sorted to start with. Do you want to tell us why you're sitting in the car right now? Say it
I mean
didn't
the
kick you
view.
out,
Look
did
at
you?
look at the view right here. I mean, come on, it can't get
Oh,
better than
wow.
that.
Beautiful.
On top of the view, it ironically, for some reason, this little lighthouse here
Mm-hmm.
has the best internet in Greece,
Oh,
better than at Airbnb. Site did not kick me out. She
no.
was wanting me to stay there, but yeah, this is the best place that we found for uploading files and doing Zoom. So I drove down here out of the mountains, came down to the sea just for y'all.
Beautiful. Could you just give us a bit of background about your background in terms of sexuality training and some of your coaching and some of your specialty areas, so we can give the guys some context for what topics we want to discuss today.
All right. Well, I am a sex coach, and and I know that kind of is a term that's thrown around a lot these days, I think, but specifically, I got my background in working with women that have trauma. I've worked with on-hand sessions, doing different types of touch techniques to remove scar tissue, to help with pain, and then optimize towards pleasure. I'm probably somewhere in about the four figures in terms of female clients that I've worked with one-on-one, doing hands-on sessions.
So maybe this needs to be clarified a bit, because you've said that you worked hands-on with women, and from our discussions before, I know that means hands-in as well. So, and you've also talked to me about de-armoring as a I guess, like maybe a kind of a catch-all for some of that work. I'll give you a couple of questions and you can take them wherever you want. Firstly, that relating to that is, what does it mean for a woman to be armored, right? Like in terms of genitally or emotionally or otherwise. So what does it mean to be armored? What does it mean to de-armor, and what would that actually look like? That
All
works?
right, that works completely fine.
Cool.
I know that you are a history buff, and so I will actually give a little historical background because it's a term that's also thrown around a bit, de-armoring. Some people have heard it, some haven't, but it goes back to a book from 1933, Character Analysis, by a gentleman by the name of Wilhelm Reich. And he was a student of Freud. And he basically noticed when working with patients that were in the psych ward that they would adopt a certain posture that was in coordination with their character. And by changing their posture, by affecting the tissues, he could then deal with the psychosis. And my background is in cognitive semiotics, so I'm looking at how the brain interprets meaning. My original education is in linguistics and languaging. And so when I look at a person, I see the character that they create and the way that they embody it, understanding that the mind and the body are not separate, that you have a psyche, you have a body, and the mind is actually this entire organism that makes sense of the world. So when you have, let's say, something that would impact you, or let's just say if you're depressed, you can literally see that on a person, the way that they're holding themselves, or if a person's in a good mood, their shoulders are back and they have a smile on their face. So part of helping a person break out of the patterns and going beyond just kind of talk therapy is to deal with the tissues. So if you have a person that, in the terms of what, then to answer your question, what is a de-armoring session? It is a way of using words as well as specifically touch, when you talk about vaginal de-armoring, to create an impact on the body. And it is a psychosomatic technique, meaning that it works with both affecting the body as well as the person's psyche. So how this would work in terms of an actual session is a lot of women were coming to me specifically because it could be a full range. Maybe they had an abuse in the past, or maybe they were just going in with numbness, or maybe they just had physical pain, or frankly, now at this point, it's just a lot of women going like, you know what? I believe I have a Ferrari between my legs, but I don't know how to drive it. So teach me like how this works. And so what I will do is by having them breathe in very specific ways, working with their pelvic floor in a very specific way, and then in coordination with my hand, I teach them to awaken numbness, to relieve pain, and go into all types of pleasure, everything from ejaculatory orgasms to cervical orgasms to lots of different things. But that's frankly on the physical side. And the interesting thing that ends up happening, and this is why, James, I really love the work that you do because you don't stop with just picking up a woman. You also insist on giving them a truly transformational experience, is that when they go through this way of working with their body, their psychology changes. They go from being kind of avoiding pain or avoiding the things that they don't want in their life as the primary motivator for going forwards, which is negative conditioning, to becoming positively conditioned. Instead, they start to orient around what are the things that they want to achieve in their life. So a lot of women might come to me at the beginning thinking that the scariest thing that they're going to be confronting is to deal with the past pains or current pains that they're dealing with in their life. But they're always surprised, though, is that the thing that becomes most scary for them is actually embracing and going into their pleasure. Because there's something that happens with the psyche when you do that, that all of a sudden you become oriented around going towards the things that you're actually meant to do for a purpose in your life. And it scares them because all of a sudden they have to think, oh, do I deserve this? Am I going to get sabotaged by my desires and just become a complete slut and not be able to direct my life? And all these type of things actually scare them more than their past trauma. But what it is their first steps into kind of embracing their greatness in life. I would work with any part of the body, but I just noticed a lot of women have either unresolved issues that they are not fully conscious of, or maybe that they are partially conscious of inside of their pussy. And basically, when they start to release that pain, let go of these emotions, all of a sudden they quite quickly end up having happy relationships or find a relationship when they haven't had one in a long time. And I mean, it's incredible what ends up happening as they walk and move differently through the world in this way.
It's a really interesting point about like the fear of pleasure, which I think is something that I think a lot of guys can also relate to. In that, yeah, like fear about things that we know are negative is kind of like a known, it's a known entity, even if it's unpleasant. But yeah, like this
Yeah.
allowing yourself to actually take a risk into the unknown of pleasure, of success, of of confidence, of all these things. I guess I've seen that quite a lot, especially in terms of guys wanting to approach women, but then like of course fearing the rejection and so on. But often what they're really fearing is being seen, and what if it goes well, and then stepping into this unknown of being accepted, of having someone attracted to you, having someone wanting to to actually please you. So yeah, it's an interesting thing that I guess everyone actually needs to look at, is to have great relationships or great sex, you're actually going to have to psychologically embrace the possibility of that through pleasure.
Well, and pleasure eventually starts to become a compass for you, not just in terms of, oh, I need to work hard and therefore working hard should be difficult and hard. And that's how I know when I'm doing a good job. But instead, you start to trust your pleasure, not as the kind of weekend reward, but as that felt state in your body towards, hey, this is a good business deal. This is a good relationship. This is starting to trust your intuition. And ultimately, the thing I think that people start to encounter when they can fully embrace feeling good in all aspects of their life is, can I step into my personal greatness and not be afraid of my optimal self? Because that is what eventually kind of long run what ends up being that big confrontation of, can I step into my fullest potential? Most people know they have something they're kind of set on this planet to do, or they might have an inkling of that if they felt into it. And to then actually have that in front of you and to have to make that choice compared to maybe where you're at in life can be quite scary, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I really hate the job that I'm doing, and this is the one that I'd really like to do, or I don't like the way that I'm interacting with these other people, and I might choose a whole different circle of friends. And now I need to step out of my comfort zone to actually be challenged by the things that make me feel really good, as opposed to living with the pains that we're used to and being complacent with them.
Something to take away there, gentlemen, I think for everybody. Are we complacent in our pain, or are we taking the risk into unknown pleasures and beyond? That's cool. If you too would like to make pleasure your compass, then I've got an amazing gift for you today. Right now I'm giving away a 40-minute masterclass where I go into granular and explicit detail on the fine art of sex positions. So this is my sex positions masterclass. You can receive immediately. Just click the link below, put your email in, and you'll get it straight away. This shows you how to transition between often familiar positions, but giving you greater nuance and understanding of the variety of ways that you can apply these, plus looking at body weight distribution, moving girls between different positions for both intimacy and intensity, and how to create hip game and flow so that you become the best that she's ever had. To receive the free masterclass, put your email in below. You'll get it straight away, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.